Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Appreciate you tuning in once again. So we are in video number 5. Yes sir, number 5. Lucky 5, number 5. So we are going to get that Bronco assembled. Some of the rest of the assembly. We started on the chassis on the last video, on video 4. So this one here, we're going to finish the suspension up from the front and the rear axle end. We're also going to get the interior completed, wet sand that body down, and a quick polish, and go from there. So that's what's going to happen in this video, and all that good stuff. So I'll take you over to the bench and let's get started on this thing and see how she comes along. Let's take a look. All right, guys. So we're going to get some of this suspension together. So while you were gone, I put the muffler on, which is just 2 pegs, and put my tow hooks on. I painted mine in red just because I thought it'd look cool, something different, a little something, something. You know how that goes. So I painted the axle. I give that the aluminum look. Left the bellows on there in black. So we're going to slide this in. Very nice fit. Just have 2 positive pins here. They sit in the holes here. Very simple, very simple. Like I mentioned in the last video, it kind of just reminds me of a snap tight to a point. So either way, don't care. It's still a nice builder. Real nice kit. Give her a little touchy touch here, a little ways here. So this thing assembles really easy. So I shaved that down a little bit because that was a little tight fit. And it wasn't due to paint or anything. It was just a tight fit. So those pins are going to sit in those holes right there. So it's going to lock that bad boy into place. All nice and tidy like. So we have our radius arms here. Let's see, those are going to go between here and here. So they'll sit in there very nice. Easy fit. So I have those in hand. I might as well tag them in. There we go. Builds up pretty nice. And we're going to let that set just for a few minutes, maybe seconds. And we'll get these shocks put on. So I went ahead and clear coated these shocks. Just did a spray clear and then took a little bit of silver, some Tamiya flat aluminum, and painted those so those will sit nice. So you can see it's got a notch here. So that notch sits in this spot here. So it sits nicely in there. Alright, so we'll get these rear strut assemblies in. Just a little dab will hit you here. And just a light dab here. So the big end sits on the outside. In case you cut everything off and can't remember where it all goes. So it sits nice like that. That sits in the bottom, so it fits pretty good. I probably could have cleaned that up a little bit more, but you know how it is. Okay, the other side sit on like so. That's pretty cool. And that will do it for the rear suspension, as noted in number 7. Number 7 also has us putting the front suspension on and the fuel tank. So our fuel tank, once again, just a couple pins. Simple. Those get tagged in here. Here and here. So I got a nice piece sets over the cross member. It sits in like so. Hindsight, I probably should have painted that different color, maybe in gloss black. I don't know, but it still looks good. Still looks good. Okay, moving on to the front of the assembly. We have our spindles, our struts. They have you putting the spindles in first, and then the struts, and then the front axle, and basically this piece here, the lower control arm subassembly. Just put a little bit here, just enough to hold it in case we got to flex it around a little bit. So that piece there is going to go straight. It's going to sound like so. Like I say, that just enough to hold it in place to keep it from falling out. Now the spindle, to glue these in, you gotta be careful because you're putting the tie rod on. So you want to make sure these are either pretty straight or you're going to glue them in after the fact. because once you put those in there, you're not going to be able to turn that if you need to adjust it. So I think I'm just going to set them in there first, and then we'll glue them in later, just to make sure everybody's cool with where they got to be. So now this guy is going to sit in these holes. So you got these holes here, and then you're going to have your half shaft boots. They're open, so they just lay on top of this pin, and then you got to go, your tie rod's got to drop through the end of the knuckle. So the same way, it's just a notched hole. So you slide that into the transfer case. It doesn't really have to go into a hole, just have to sit on top of it. Get my fat fingers out of the way here. This is where I was thinking, if you had those spindles in the way, you can kind of put them in place as you drop this down. Now that those are in, now I'll push this down tight. Now those babies are locked in place. Very nice, very nice. So before I did this, I took my knife and I had to open that hole up just a little bit for that tie rod to fit in there. It's just a little bit of a tight fit. Nothing too bad, but just enough to give you a little bit of troubles. Now this guy's going to sit on here, and I'm assuming our shock is going to sit in this hole here, and then your knuckle's going to sit in that hole. So we give this just a little touch. I'm not going to dry run this one because looks like you got to line a few things up. So once I do line it up, I'd like it to just stay there. Pretty detailed looking bottom end on this, I give it that. We're going to pull those in place first. It's like that. I'll knock my spindles in place one side at a time. That fit pretty good. That went on a lot easier than I was anticipating. That's going to conclude our front end assembly. I'm going to hold that for a minute just to make sure everybody's good to go here. Looks pretty good. I like that. Very nice looking. Next they're calling for in part 10. This was number 9 here to put that piece on. This was supposed to be flat black or gloss black, but I kind of went with the Raptor look. The Raptors, these are silver, so I thought that looked kind of cool. Just give a little different look, just because we can. So we're just going to do a quick test fit on this and make sure she fits good in the pins before I get the glue rolling here. That does not fit good in there, so I got to drill that out just a little bit. Yeah, that hole's a little excessive, but that's okay. So now we get those nice big fat holes just right on through. Beautiful, just like so. That looks cool. All right, we should be done with that for time being. We'll let that set just for a minute, and we will flip it around and probably start on the interior. Okay guys, we're going to start on the interior. So this is section or number 11 in the roadmap here. So they have you start with your center console. So in the instruction sheet, they have a number like around a little bubble basically, and telling you which you should install first and last. Makes it kind of convenient. So according to the instructions, they have you assemble your assembly first, and that's starting out with the console. So that's going to sit in there like so. So what I've been finding is a lot of the holes need to be kind of open up just a little bit, not a whole lot. I'm going to change this drill bit because this one's a little on the heavy side for this, and it fits lovely. Okay, so we get that glued down. Yeah, the decals in this kit, they're nice, but man, they're really thick. So even with the microsol, they had a little bit of a hard time trying to conform down. I give them a couple coats, let them set for a few nights, and they did okay, but they didn't go down as good as they should. But you know what? That's okay. They're better than the other decals that they used to put in their kits, so I'm still cool with that. So we got our back seats. So they tell you to do the back seats number 2. So before I get too far, because I noticed I did not paint that very well in there. Alright, I missed the whole section. What in the world? Well, Alright, I guess I got a little bit of painting to do, so I'll be back. Please hold. Alright guys, I went old school and brushed it on there, so hopefully it'll look okay. I just didn't really want to mix up the airbrush just for that little bit. So hopefully the contrast of the seats, the interior, they'll cover up if it does have a little bit of misfortune in there from brushing it. But we'll see. We'll find out. So I ended up taking the seats and I ran some dull coat on them. So check this out. I've had this can forever. I'll show you how long I've had this for. Look at that. Don't see that anymore, do you? $2.99 from Myers. It's still half there. I use it for little spots like this. Works great. So I did the seats, just to get rid of that little shine on there. And I did the dashboard. So it helped it out, not immensely. I'm not overly impressed with the dash. I don't know what it is. I don't like it. It looks generic. I don't know. It looks like, it doesn't look right to me. I don't care for it. So we'll get these seats put in. So obviously you can only do one side at a time, or one side at a time. Well, of course one side at a time, but you get a notch here. So that notch is going to sit into that notch. So the seats are only going to go in one position only. So once you get those in there, they sit like so. Sit pretty nice, sit pretty tight against that console. Very nice, very nice. Make sure it's straight. Unlike putting a seat in, you realize, oh, it's crooked. So that's Tamiya lacquer, flat black. It's the same I did this in, so hopefully it gives me the same. I'm sure the contrast will be different because it's brushed on versus airbrushed. But we'll hope for the best. It's funny, I can still see a little bit of gloss around that decal. It's not as bad. It's not as, pronounced as it was, but it still has a little bit there. So there's a thing I was gonna do. I almost was gonna put seat belts in this, and I probably should have. They give you a really nice spot here. That'd been real easy to make some belts. Yeah, I probably should have done it. I guess it'd still be easy to do. Just take some material and loop down. But I'm not going to. I thought about it. The thought entered my mind, but that's as far as it went. So maybe next time. Maybe next time around. So this is just getting to know the kit basically and seeing how it goes together. All that good stuff. So once these are in, this is pretty much it for the body other than wheels. And then it's on to bodywork from here. This side went in pretty good. This side went a little easier than the other side. I don't know why. I'm looking at my back seats. They look crooked. I need to twist them just a little bit. You could actually almost take that and cut it and fold the seats down. That'd be kind of cool. You could do a lot with this kit if you really wanted to kind of customize it a little bit. But so the dash is going to sit in here, in this piece in the center, and then lock into the sides. I guess I'll do a dry run fit test here just to make sure I'm where I'm thinking it should be. I think I might just do, now that it's in the hole, I'm just going to glue it in from the back sides here and then go from there. So you can see it sits on two pegs here in the back. Got a peg here and here, and then I like the one I explained to you earlier. So it'll be just easier just to tag this here. And I'm going to put that back piece on first, and then we'll make sure those fit in those holes. If I can get it lined up. At least on this side here, it doesn't look like it snaps into anything. It just kind of rests against the back of it. Alright, kind of different. And that's going to pretty much wrap up our interior. Other than I put the firewall on, that part will be done. So next we can put our firewall on. Shows you putting your brake pedals in, but I already did that. So there's supposed to be 2 pins in here, but somebody cut that off accidentally, so kind of got a couple guesses who that might be, but that happens. Did it during cleanup. And that will seal the deal on this guy. So at this point it looks like it's just onto the bodywork and go from there. Alright guys, so we are on the body side of things here. So I have a few blemishes in this hood that I'd like to take care of, so I'm going to wet sand this down. I'm using my Magic 5000 sandpaper. This is that sandpaper, it's kind of like a sponge I was saying. So we're going to do a little wet sand on here, get rid of some spots. And all that good stuff. So we'll see how it turns out. I don't need to go too much with it, just a couple pieces I want to get rid of. Of course, the one's right on that edge, so I don't know how good that's going to come out of it, because I don't want to crank on it and burn through it. So I had the one right in the middle of the hood here, and I had the one on the end of the Bronco. So use my towel here, we'll dry her off, see where we're at. So the end's not bad. I probably don't want to go any more on that. I can see my other little spot right there just a little bit. Okay, we'll get that polished out and we'll see how she looks. Like I say, I still got a little spot there, but it almost looks like it lifted under the decal. So I don't want to go too crazy with it. Things will turn ugly fast. Real fast. So I'm using my Meguiar's Ultimate Polish. I like this, it works pretty good for me. And we'll see how quick this brings us back. So a lot of times I'll alternate and I'll use the Wizard's Final Cut compound. This stuff actually works pretty good. So this actually cuts probably a little quicker than the Meguiar's. So sometimes I'll start with this and I'll finish with this. So I may start with this one this time just to give me a little head start. And of course, you know, you can't use squeeze out the thing because it's all plugged up. Because that's how that happens. So put a good drip on there. Yeah, it's a pretty nice drip. You know, just work this baby in till she's blue in the face. Guess it is kind of blue already, but we'll just see how it goes. I'll also take a couple applications. This isn't just a one and done and hey, like right here and just call it good. This is just the start of it, so we got to cut it down, cut it down. They make other polishes that's a little more aggressive, but being it's a model, you know, it's not very thick to start with. The mills of the paint's pretty thin, so you don't want to go too aggressive right off the get-go and just rub right through it and you whoops. So this should bring the luster back pretty easy. So it looked like it was shiny for a minute and then it kind of dulled back out. That's because I'm picking up polish like right there. It don't take much just to like, hey, where'd that come from? So it's looking pretty good so far. So I'll give it one more hit with the Wizard here, and then I'll go back and I'll finish it off with the Meguiar's. I don't use power tools on these because, like I say, you can really burn this pretty quick. And I don't have one. So I do have a Dremel here, but not a polishing piece for it. So I guess that's my main reason I don't use it, because I don't have one to use it on. Takes a little longer to do it this way, but a lot of it's just patience. Take your time with it. It's all in how you want it to look in the end. If you want to get carried away with it, spend a day on one piece, hey, you can probably make it look like a sheet of glass. But if you're like, yeah, you know what, that looks pretty good, then that's what you can end up with. Sometimes it's nice to let that haze for a second and then come back. So always keep rotating that towel, keep it clean, keep it fresh. All right, so we're gonna a little bit more here. Now we're gonna go back and hit it with the Meguiar's, and then I'm probably maybe gonna do some spots on that body. I'll probably just do that off camera, just because this is very time consuming. Well, it can be anyways. So you can see that wasn't too much polishing there, and that's got quite a luster already. So I'm going to put the other on it and kind of continue with that. I could have wet sanded that a little more. See just a little dimple in there, but it's not too bad. I'm going to leave it. But I will tell you that that color is unbelievable. It does shine really good. I like the way it looks in clear. That Area 51, very nice looking. So the Meguiar's is a little finer cut than the Wizard. So it'll give you that little extra, more of a softer cut to it and smoothness. A lot of times when I use these towels to polish with, a lot of times I'll just throw them away, because my problem I'll have is I'll set them down somewhere, and next thing you know, I go to wipe something off the paint and didn't realize I grabbed a towel already whacked something with, or polished something or whatever, and oh, there's the paint job. That's been known to happen. So I have found you can polish pretty easily with no problem with, and then paint over top of it. I don't usually seem to have any issues. It's when you wax it, that's when you get the issue. But just a polish like this doesn't really seem to bother it too bad. Okay, we got ourselves a new piece of towel here, and then I'll do a little more wiping on this hood, and we're gonna call this good for right now, and I'll finish the rest of it off camera with the body and all that, but I'm just kind of showing you how I'm doing this. Obviously it was pretty shiny to start with, but I'm basically doing this just to get rid of the dust particles or whatnot in the paint. That's the only reason I'm doing this, because looking at the body, you can tell it really doesn't need to be done. I actually like the looks of this better before it's polished, but she's looking pretty sharp polished too, so it's looking pretty nice. So there's a couple little spots in there yet, but we'll leave it. We'll leave it go. So this is probably going to take another hit yet to finish it off, and then we're going to call it good. But as you can see, don't take too much work, and you get a pretty nice looking setup there. So, alright, I'm going to finish the rest of this off camera, and we'll bring you back. Okay guys, so we're back on the body side of things. So we're going to paint this black. This here, grab a pointer of some sort. So this here is getting black, and we are doing black around here, along this line here, along the top of the door here, and up in here. This is going to remain blue, and then we're going to go straight here, and this will be black along the top. Same on the other side, and that should be it for that. Other than that, it is time for assembly. So I've been thinking about something with the headlights. So I did this here. I did the old panel line in there. The original lights, they have that LED strip across there. So I was kind of looking at the lens itself, and they actually left it high on the outside. It'd been nice if they would have done that on the inside, so you could have just, you know, wick some paint in there and call it a day. But I'm still thinking on that one, so we'll come back to that. It looks good just leaving it like that, but I don't know. I think it could get that little better look to it. Not sure. We're working on that one. So we're gonna tape this off. Some good old trusty Tamiya. So the hard part's gonna be is taping it off in here, because I need this here, but not this. This is gonna stay blue, but this here, from here down, this needs to be black, which that's not a big deal. And this here is gonna have to stay blue as well. So we're gonna get started on this, and we'll go from there. So I'm gonna do a little taping, and I'll bring you back, because watching somebody tape, it can be kind of, let's just face it, it's just boring. Okay, let's not kid ourselves, and it's cool, it's kind of boring. So what I'm gonna do is get this taped up, and I'll bring you back when we're done. Okay guys, I will get this taped, and I'll show you where before. So before I started on this, I just took this in the house and washed this, because I showed you some polish on that, which that turned out pretty cool. But just in case there's any residue, I took it in and washed it, just to make sure things were cool. So that's where we're at. So let me get it taped, and I will bring you back. All right guys, with some extensive patience and a few here and there's, we got her taped up. So yeah, she's an abomination of tape. So I like to tape underneath, because sometimes if you're spraying, you'll be surprised that tape will come around and blow around and wick onto your paint, and you'll be like, ugh. So basically what we did is we took and taped up inside here along the top, so it'll leave us a nice edge here. Doesn't stick very good there. Just have to pay attention to that before we spray. Did around here and around this little edge here. We're going to paint this with the Tamiya LP5. So we're going to do semi-gloss. And other than that, once we get this done, a few more pieces, and we should be able to start assembling the body and be done with it. So I'll get this painted real quick, and I'll bring you back. Okay guys, we are painted up, so let's see how this turned out. So this is always the magic part, you know, this is the, did we do a good job? Did we not? Soon find out. Or is it one of those, oh man, I got a lot of touch-up to do. You just never know until you peel it off. But you know what? Do a good enough tape job, life is good. You know, I'd say just save the Tamiya tape, but I'll tell you what, this blue tape, I don't know if you guys priced this out lately. They don't give this stuff away. That stuff's pretty expensive. Like, man, kind of high dollar stuff here. Get something a little non-marring here. Looks nice. Looks nice. Alright, just get the front part of the windshield pulled off. Should be good. There we have it. Looks pretty good. We got that blue line across the top yet. Looks pretty nice, pretty nice. I think that turned out alright. Got some tape residue we got to remove. So when we get stuff like this here, which happens often, that's just residue from the tape. So I take some of my McGuire's polish and just put a little bit on it, and I'll take that right off. I got a little bit right here too. And a piece of tape hide inside. There we go. So yes, that turned out pretty nice. Cool. So I'll take a little bit of that polish, got a little spot there. We'll wipe that off, and I think we're looking pretty good from that point. Alright guys, I appreciate you tuning in for video number 5. So we're going to wrap this up, and we will see you guys on the next video. So I appreciate it, and you guys have a good one.